Good evening. I call our Thursday, October 9th, 2025, regular City Council meeting to order. This is our regular 7 p.m. meeting. We will start with our call to order and then our opening prayer. I don't see Pastor. Pastor. Okay, there we go. All right. Thank you. Sorry. There he is. He's here. No, you're good. Thank you. That's why I hesitated for a second. I see. So we'll start things off tonight with our opening prayer by Pastor Andy Alberts from Tallmadge Lutheran Church. And please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I want to start with a scripture verse. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for he is good, and his mercy endures forever. Amen. Lord God, gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for the community of Tallmadge. Thank you for these men and women who serve in our government, those who serve in our city council. We pray for your wisdom, for your spirit to be upon them and bless the decisions that they make. And also we pray, O Lord, that you continue to raise up leaders and keep these leaders with the upcoming elections. Give wisdom to voters as they seek to elect. We also ask for your blessing upon our schools, our administrators, and for the families that dwell in Tallmadge, that you may give us peace and allow us to grow and laugh and learn together, to enjoy all that you have made. Watch over those who keep us safe, protect them from harm's way, and be with those who help us live each day of our lives. We pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you. Next up will be our roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Jonathan Bolus.
Here.
Christine Sippa.
Here.
Jessica Epstein.
Here.
Donald Pavlik.
Here.
Tracy Pletcher.
Here.
Ted Roy.
Here.
Nick Rubino.
Here.
All right, great. We are all present this evening. Moving on to item 4, this is correcting and adopting the previous meeting minutes. So the September 25th, 2025 meeting minutes will be provided at our next regular meeting on October 23rd, 2025. Next up, item 5 is our financial reports. Tonight, we're in receipt of the Fire and EMS Fund transfer in the amount of $205,000, street maintenance repair in the amount of $250,000, bond retirement from the general fund in the amount of $85,000, road capital improvement fund in the amount of $1,070,000, bond retirement from the safety services income tax fund in the amount of $150,000 to council on 9/29/25. The appropriations report, fund report, and revenue report for the period ending 9/30/25 to council on 10/6/25. September financial reports to council on 10/6/25. Tallmadge Recreation Center profit and loss report for the period ending 9/30/25 to council on 10/6/25. The income tax comparisons for the period ending 9/30/25 to council on 10/6/25. The income tax by source report for the month of September to council on 10/6/25. And the revenue comparisons for major funds for the period ending 9/30/25 to council on 10/6/25. And lastly, consolidated investment portfolio for the period ending 9/30/25 to council on 10/6/25.
I'll make a motion to approve the reports as presented.
So, second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the financial reports as presented. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Christine Sippa.
Yes.
Jessica Epstein.
Yes.
Donald Pavlik.
Yes.
Tracy Pletcher.
Yes.
Ted Roy.
Yes.
Nick Rubino.
Yes.
Jonathan Bolus.
Yes. Financial reports are approved by a vote of 7-0. Next up, public hearings. We have none this evening. Community input. We have none this evening listed here. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak on an item not on the agenda, you may do so now. Just please state your name and address, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak.
My name is Scott Heilman. I live at 1013 East Avenue in Tallmadge. And Was there anything else I was supposed to say?
That's it.
Okay. It seems like I never come before you before. I'm hoping to get money from you guys. I'm sorry. But I'm with the Historical Society in Tallmadge. And we were doing a lot of talking today and noting that we're losing another historic building. It's being torn down there on Southwest Avenue. And it occurs to me that at this rate, the only historic buildings we're going to have left are going to be those two in the circle. It's a shame. I think it's a tragedy what's been happening to the buildings. I note the one on North Monroe last year that collapsed. That was the oldest brick building at the time. But as I say, it just seems like we're losing them more and more. And I really think we need to do something to protect the two on the circle. We had the 200th anniversary for the church, and we had a go through the church kind of thing. And one of the things I noted, and one of the things that kept being mentioned to me, was looking at the grass, and it's all brown, it's dead. Boy, it wouldn't take much for a fire to start there. Wouldn't take much for that to get to the church, and when it gets there, it's gone. There is no stopping. Once those things start to catch on fire, there's no stopping it. Fire department won't be able to stop it. They'll just stand around and look because that tinder box is just going to go up in flames. When was the last time the city thought about maybe putting a watering system in the lawn? Something so that when the grass, we have a dry spell, the grass starts to turn brown, we can just turn it on and maybe bring back the grass so it's not as likely to catch fire. People go out there, they're not supposed to go out there and smoke, but I see it all the time. And they don't just put their cigarettes out, they throw them down on the ground. Sooner or later, we're going to wind up with a tragedy. And my hope is that the city will actually stop and think about what we have left in the city. And right now, to me, a couple of our greatest treasures are those two buildings on the circle, and I want to do something to make sure that we're going to keep those. I wish we could do it with all the buildings. I know we've got a committee looking at a lot of the old structures in Tallmadge, and to be honest, I was against the Historical Society being part of that. The main reason why I was against it is because you didn't give us any vote in that. We would just show up. And to the city, it would look like a rubber stamp. So whatever they decided, it would look like the Historical Society said, yeah, let's go with that. I didn't like that. If they had given us a chance to have a vote in that, so if there's one no vote, people are going to wonder why there's a no vote. And we would be able to say, well, yeah, we thought it was a bad idea. But the city, you guys decided we weren't going to have a vote, so I was totally against that. My hope is that you will start to think more about what we have in the city and what we can do to protect them. And that's all I really have. And if you have a question, I'll take it.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of council for coming in tonight and for all you do with this Historical Society.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are there anyone else that would like to come up regarding community input that regarding items not on the agenda this evening? All right, and then we'll move on to agenda additions. So tonight, we have a couple presentations. The first, I'll welcome Mr. Phil Montgomery, who's the Director of Finance and Budget for the County of Summit, regarding Issue 2, the County Charter Amendment for 2025.
Thank you, Mr. President, Madam Mayor. On behalf of County Executive Eileen Shapiro, I'm happy to be here tonight to talk about a very important issue that will be on the November 4th ballot. So between now and Election Day, make sure we get out there. But I want to do a quick history of how we got here and why we're doing this. Earlier this year, the state legislature introduced House Bill 335. House Bill 335 was a complete elimination of inside millage. So in Summit County, or in the state of Ohio charter, there is a 10 mil limitation on unvoted inside millage. They call it unvoted because it doesn't go to the voters every year. It was voted on when it was put in the Ohio State Constitution, so it really is voted on, but they call it the unvoted portion of your property taxes, the inside millage. And within Summit County, there's over 70 taxing districts, and each district shares that 10 mils of of inside millage. In Summit County, we only get 2.2 of those 10 mills. And I know I don't want to overly complicate this. So, what with millage is, it's based on your valuation. But inside millage is tied to the valuation of your property, of your house. And it does go up and down with the valuation. The voted levies, so Summit DD, Summit CSB, ADM, those are capped under the 1970 law that was passed in Ohio that says a levy cannot collect any more than it was originally intended. So if the ADM levy is supposed to collect $10 million, no matter what your valuation is, that will be $10 million. So that millage for the voted levies will go up and down based on getting the $10 million. So that's the distinct difference between inside millage and the voted levy millage that gets associated with that. So when they presented to eliminate that, what they failed to realize was 100% of veteran services across the state are funded by inside millage. A lot of municipalities use inside millage to back their GO debt. And so the bonding agencies and bankers came out and said, well, wait a minute, if you take that away, you're going to bankrupt every municipality and they're all going to default on their bonds. So we at Summit County said, okay, we need to do something about this. And we believe that a lot of this is to get ahead of the voter ballot initiative, the voter-led ballot initiative that's coming. They're not going to do it this year. They're working for November of next year. But so the legislature tried to get ahead of the game, and they're working on doing some things to do what they're calling property tax reform. So in Summit County, that 2.2 mills is $41 million. It is a quarter of our general fund. And all of that funding goes to public safety. So $41 million is almost 2/3 of our payroll on the general fund, which includes our sheriff's department, our jail, 911 dispatch. We talk about our new facility that's here in Tallmadge. And we're concerned that if something doesn't change, when you call 911, it isn't going to be what's your emergency, it's going to be please hold. So we want to make sure that these critical services are funded in our community. And so what issue 2 does, to put it as simple as I can, is that 2.2 mills that we get today in inside millage, we want to be able to replace it with 2.2 mills of charter millage. We're obviously the first of 2 charter counties in the state, so there's only 2 counties that can do this. Everybody else, if inside millage goes away, there's no protection. So in Summit County, we want to add that. It's actually titled a limitation on tax. And the reason why we're able to call it that is because we're putting a cap on the percentage that can be increased. So we're not asking for 1/10 of a mil more. We want 2.2 for 2.2. The limitation that we're putting on to cap it at 3% growth is if your valuation, and a lot of this stemmed from the last sexennial reappraisal that happened in Summit County, and people's values went up more than 30%. What this cap does, it says, okay, if your property value goes up 10%, the most your 2.2 mills can collect in addition is 3%. It's capped at 3%. Now, if your property value stays the same or goes down, that 3% doesn't matter. It's still tied to valuation, so you're going to go up or down with that, but it can't go up more than 3. So it's as simple as that. We're not asking for another dollar in millage, but we want to put in place this cap to make sure that people aren't getting the ginormous spikes that they got in the last couple of years here in Summit County. It is such a popular idea that the legislature has issued a substitute House Bill 335, which takes out that elimination of inside millage and adds the 3% cap that we're proposing. So they like that idea of saying, okay, we know what inside millage needs to do, but we want to cap the growth, so we're going to copy what Summit County's doing. So it is still a critical issue for us because there's nothing to say that the next legislature won't try to do this again. So it is still important for us to pass this. It was just last week that we found out that they've backed off on inside millage, but we have to make sure that this tool is with us as we move forward to be able to protect public safety services in our community. So I want to make sure that the issue is clear. I hope that wasn't overly complicated. Mayor Killaway and I joked about not letting Brian Nelson come do this. Oh no, I would tell him anyways. It's okay. He knows. But we're trying to make sure that everybody understands the issue. I'd be happy to answer any questions, but it is 2.2 for 2.2 with a cap.
Very good. Thank you very much. I think you did a great job explaining it. Yep. Each time it gets explained to me, I understand it more and more. So thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Does anyone have any questions for him at this time? No?
Just want to
Great.
thank you for coming in.
Sure.
That was very, very informative. Thank you.
Yep, anytime. Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
All right. Next up on our agenda additions is Mr. Steve Wood, the Superintendent of Tallmadge City Schools, here to present informational overview on the school levy.
Thank you, Mr. Bolus. Thank you, Mayor, for inviting me tonight. And actually, Mr. Montgomery just set the table really well for a lot of what's driving why issues 53 and 54 are on the ballot to protect our schools. So again, I'm thankful to be here tonight because I strongly believe the people of Tallmadge support our schools. They've supported us so much. And I believe the more they understand what's happening, the dynamic, that the pressure that's being placed on Tallmadge schools, and what we're doing as a response, the more of them that will support these levies. So, Mr. Montgomery hit the nail on the head with the first part of it is why do schools need to ask for additional levies once in a while? It's because we have those voted levies that he talked about that do not rise with inflation. So there's two things that are really impacting Tallmadge City schools right now. Number one, inflation. That's affecting all of us. We don't have revenue sources that grow with inflation naturally. The other thing that's happening that's bigger, and it's a big part of everything that's happening down in the state right now, is we are losing close to $1 million per year of funding from the state of Ohio. And we need to find a way to make up for that. So there's two ways we're doing that. Number one, the school district is working hard to reduce cost, and we've cut costs significantly already with elimination of positions, admin positions. We've grown our philanthropy. More and more of our athletic facilities that people are enjoying are funded by philanthropic measures. But there's only so much we can cut to make up for the fact that we have inflation and a cut in state funding working against us. So there are two levies on the ballot in November. Issues 53 and 54 for our brethren in Portage County, it's 25 and 26. Issue 53 is a renewal levy. So it is not a new tax, will not cost our taxpayers any additional money. That has been a levy that it's a voted levy that Tallmadge City Schools has collected since 2001. It essentially still collects at the same amount it did back in 2001. So I don't know about you, but if your salary hadn't increased since 2001, you'd be struggling with paying the bills today. And that's essentially the struggle that school districts have, is how do you keep up with inflation? And then again, the double whammy of the state cutting your funding. What you have to do is ask for an additional levy once in a while. The last time Tallmadge did ask for an additional levy was back in 2019. So we're asking for a new levy this time. This is issue number 54. It's a new operating levy. It will be used for classroom. It will be used for maintaining and continuing existing programs. Not new programs, not new facilities, maintaining all the great things that we have already. I will also tell you that it's a 5.7 mil levy. For folks that have been around Tallmadge a long time, normally when the schools ask for a new levy, it's somewhere between 7.5 to 9.5 mils. The board has really tightened tightened the budget, sharpened their pencil to get this number down to where they think is enough for us to continue our great programs without overburdening our taxpayers. So it's a 5.7 mil levy. That'll cost the taxpayers $16.67 per month per $100,000 of valuation. Average home in Tallmadge is about $200,000, so we're talking about $33 a month, roughly, for this new levy. So I encourage folks, and again, I'm thankful to the mayor, President Bolus, all of council for inviting me tonight. I really, really, really want folks to understand this. I know new taxes aren't fun. I don't like having to pitch them, right? So, but the reality is this is something that this community needs, and I believe our community will support it. There will be a number of teachers, staff, and administrators and other volunteers walking through the community, sharing the information about these levies. There's information on our website, and I encourage any citizen, anybody, to give me a call or email me if they have any questions about the levies. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very-
Mr. Wood, real quick, if you could, is there, if the levy doesn't pass this year, what type of impact would that have? And what type of a levy would have to then be proposed for the next year?
Great question, Mayor. So if it does not pass, this is urgent. So if we don't pass this, there will be cuts to programming, to busing, to other services. The other thing that will hurt us is that we will lose a year of collection. If this doesn't pass here in November, then that means no taxes would be collected for all of 2026. So we wouldn't be able to collect until 2027. To try to keep up with inflation and overcome the reductions in state funding, the board would have to ask for a higher millage rate the next time around because of that lost year. So it is urgent. All right? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All right. Another item on our agenda additions this evening is a confirmation request by Mayor Kilway regarding Ms. Darcy Bauer, appointment for alternate for our Board of Zoning Appeals. Mayor,
yes.
would you like to make a comment?
Yes, I just wanted to say that it's our Board of Zoning Appeals Commission. At times, we've had problems having a quorum because some people can't make it. So we found that it was very beneficial if we had an alternate that could be called upon at the last minute to fill that spot. We do have that on a couple of our other commissions. I know Architectural Review Board has an alternate as well. So this is just to make sure that we can, do what we need to do within the city in order to have our commissions staffed and get things approved for our residents. And Darcy Bauer, I had forwarded her bio to you guys. She's very qualified, and I would just appreciate your guys' approval.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Darcy Bauer.
I will second that.
Thank you very much.
We have a motion and a second to accept the appointment of Darcy Bauer. Any further discussion or questions for the mayor? All right, thank you for sending over the bio as well. Clerk, please call the roll.
Jessica Epstein,
Yes.
Donald Pavlik,
Yes.
Tracy Pletcher,
Yes.
Ted Roy,
Yes.
Nick Rubino,
Yes.
Jonathan Bolus,
Yes.
Christine Sipa.
Yes.
All right, with a vote of 7-0, Darcy Bauer is confirmed as an alternate on the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. All right, that concludes our agenda additions this evening, so we'll move into reports of administrative officers, and we'll start the administrative reports off with Mayor Kilway.
Thank you. I'm going to try to be very brief here. I do want to again thank Phil Montgomery from the Executive's Office and Steve Wood from the schools for coming and explaining the levies that are on the ballot. I think it's very important that we get this message out, and I know it's very difficult to read the ballot language and figure out what you're trying to vote on. So that's why I thought it was very important to have you guys come out and explain it in layman's terms. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Also, last week, I had the pleasure of attending Executive Shapiro's State of the County address. She talked about a number of different initiatives that the county has done over the last year. It was a very well-attended event, and it was nice to see our Councilwoman Pletcher was there as she works for the county as well. So thank you for being there. It was very nice to see you. I literally just came back here at 6:30 from SD Meyer's 60th anniversary celebration. So SD Meyer's employs over 270 employees, and they have been in business for 60 years, which is extremely unheard of. They've been in Tallmadge for over 50 years. They are a national and global leader in the transformer maintenance business, and they're a very significant business here in our city. So I had the pleasure of presenting them with the proclamation. I'm very proud of them. We tried to look up some statistics as to what the percentage of businesses in our country have been around for 60 years. you can't even get that statistic. It's non-existent because it's so hard. So I was very, very proud to be part of their celebration today. The only other thing is, Mr. Heilman did talk about the 200th anniversary of the historic church at the Circle. I do agree with you that, yes, that is a very important asset. That is the center of our community. And we do need to do anything that we can in order to preserve it. You do know that we are doing the Recognized Heritage Structure audit. There's a lot of thought that's going through this audit so that we get it right. So I hope you'll be pleased with the outcome of that as well. But I thought the event that the Historical Society put on was amazing. Thank you guys very much for it. Unfortunately, I could not go through the Nooks and Cranny tour at the time. There were a lot of people in line, and I had to get on to my next event. So I hope to get a private tour at some point in time, because I really want to see that. The only other things I have is just to remind everyone, Beggars Night is October 30th from 5:30 to 7 o'clock, and Veterans Day ceremony is Tuesday, November 11th at the Historic Church on the Circle at 10 a.m. Pending any questions, that's my report. None? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our Director of Administration, Mr. Ignazito.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Council President Bolus. I have a brief update this evening. It's my favorite time of the year, budget season. Oh, I mean fall. But budget season is underway, and we'll be having our budget work session on Wednesday, November 5th, as everyone knows. Just a couple of brief updates. Today was the last day for the farmers market, so it was a very successful season. So I want to thank Andrea Kidder for a successful season. We averaged about 35 vendors per week. We ended up with 40 vendors today to close it out. Considering the number of very warm days that we had, a couple of rainy days, not many, but a couple of rainy days, we had a fantastic showing, and we have a very constant following there of people who attend. So thanks again to Andrea Kidder for all the work that she did, and then also kudos to Taylor Willis, who is new to our Department of Administration. She stepped in for Andrea Kidder occasionally this summer, and so we appreciate the teamwork there. Just an economic development update. The Ohio Economic Developer Association's annual summit is right here in Akron, Ohio next week from the 15th through the 17th. So Samantha Poole will be out of the office those 3 days. It's a great event to have that hosted here in our backyard. It's good. It brings an economic development not only to Akron but to our surrounding communities. In regards to business BRNEs, we continue to experience a growth in those numbers, and we had, as the mayor mentioned, a grand opening this past week on West Avenue for first in-home inspections. That was well attended, so thank you, Mayor, and Councilwoman Ward 4, Councilwoman Tracy Pletcher for attending. I know those are during the day, and it makes difficult for many of you, but I know we've had all council members at various openings, so we appreciate your support. We look to have a few more in the near future, and Samantha will keep you updated on that. Ms. Poole will be here on for the next council meeting to give her full monthly update, and also that will be Insight will provide a brief update as you had requested when we had our previous discussion on that, and they'll also be here to answer your questions. Pending your questions for me, that concludes my brief this evening.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. We'll move on to our Director of Public Service, Mr. Rohr.
For the month, the zoning department had 31 total permits, 44 open violations. We had 4 burials in the cemetery. The Parks and Rec, a couple of events coming up, the Electronics Recycle Drive, October 11th, the Fall Festival, October 18th, the Tree Lighting Festival, November 28th. Couple things going on over at Maca Pool. The pool bottom is being stripped and is getting repainted. This is huge because normally we're rushing around in the spring trying to do it, so this time we're doing it in the fall, and we're having better weather, obviously, so should be a better surface at the end of the season next year. Moving on to the street department, you can see the numbers there. The thing that's impressive is the crack seal roads. That linear footage is actually almost 17 miles. And if you think about all the cracks and they went 17 miles, it was a pretty good month that they were able to get that done. And that's part of the maintenance. You want to keep those cracks sealed so that keeps the water from penetrating into the pavement and under the pavement into the base. The utility department, see the numbers there. The hydrants, they're also GPSing all the hydrants at their locations. They also had some training, which included trench safety and confined spaces. With the bad season coming up for the water department, it's important to get that done now, so they have a refresher on getting into those boxes and getting into the ground. One thing I want to point out is that's a valve over there to the left. The problem with when some of these water lines were put in and these valves were put in, they didn't use stainless steel bolts. So as you can imagine, a lot of the valves and issues are caused just because wrong bolts. And so that causes quite a bit of leaks. So easy fix, you can see the stainless in there now. And that really ends the report for the month, unless there's any questions.
How often do you resurface the pool?
We paint it every other year. And this job here, it's probably been 5 years, 7 years. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next up will be our Director of Finance, Ms. Gilbride.
Thank you, everyone. Everyone received the financial reports for September. Our income tax is coming in as expected. We're just a hair over the budgeted, but that's good. Everything seems to be evening out, so we will keep an eye on that as always, though. What I did want to point out to council is we did receive, with our tax distribution this year, our first payment on the tax increment financing district that we put in when Tallmadge reserves went in on the Ripley farm. So we were able to collect in that first distribution with that valuation, just over $331,000. So we will anticipate that annually, so that will be very beneficial to pay off the debt for the intersection at Washburn and East Avenue. That was improved when the development initially went in, and then we will use the remainder of it to finance the widening of East Avenue that's coming up in the next year or two, to expand the road between the corporate boundary and the rec center. So I was very pleased with how significant that collection is. We will be able to keep that in our fund. You will see I will probably do reappropriation legislation. So the general fund has been paying the debt. So we've allowed the TIF fund to borrow from the general fund to pay the debt on the Washburn intersection. So we will be able to pay that back to the general fund with this first distribution. So we'll be able to pay everything back we've been used for the last 3 years. So like I said, I just wanted to point that out. That's a new revenue source. We were anticipating it starting this year, and so I think it's was a good choice to be made for that area.
How much is that debt right now?
That was $1 million issue. It was part of the total issue we did for the we combined it with the fire station when we did that. So we issued that in 2020. So we've been paying on it for 5 years now. I think it was a 20-year issue. The annual payment's about $65,000 a year. So we'll have the difference between the 65 to And I'll use that annual revenue generation to determine how long we would need to finance the $2 million we'll need for the East Avenue project. And that's the end of my report, unless anybody else has any other questions.
All right, thank you very much. Next up is our Assistant Director of Law, Ms. Briand.
Good evening. We only have one update from the Law Department, and it's really just a reminder that we have a drug take-back event on October 25th that will take place at the Tallmadge Police Department from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to item 10, this is reports of standing committees of council as a whole. We'll kick things off with our Planning and Zoning Committee with Councilwoman Pletcher.
Thank you. I will open Planning and Zoning Committee. There are no items on the agenda this evening. Is there anything anybody would like to discuss or questions? I'll close committee.
Thank you very much. Next up will be our Finance Committee with Councilman Pavlik.
Hi, thank you. I open up Finance Committee. The Finance Committee deals with budget, appropriations, reappropriations, bonds, franchise, investments, expenditures. Tonight, we have three first readings, ordinances. First up is ordinance 2025-77, adopting cybersecurity program and establishing policies and procedures for the city of Tallmadge, Ohio, pursuant to the requirements of Ohio Revised Code, section 9.64, appropriating necessary sums, and providing for immediate enactment. Sponsor of this ordinance is Director of Administration, Mr. Iguazito. Mr. Iguazito, would you care to add anything to this?
Yes, good evening, and thank you, Councilman Pavlik. I sent some information on this beforehand, just to give you some background. This is basically an unfunded mandate as a result of Ohio House Bill 96 passed earlier this year. In late August, the state of Ohio had its first webinar on this, outlining the requirements of what they were looking for in this bill. We have Ohio Revised Code 964, which I sent to you, and basically there are the requirements you can see there that we have to do. The first requirement is the legislative authority has to state that we're establishing a program. And so that's part of what this ordinance does. It says that we will establish a program. The good thing is that we're meeting probably 75 to 80% of what's required. We do have to document what we're doing. That's one of the areas that we need to improve on. And then there's some testing and some other aspects that we need to augmentation on, and we'll discuss that during the budget workshop, and we can have an executive session on that and on the budget session when we get to that. This ordinance, though, has a request for $42,000 for funding, and what that does is it meets the first section. It establishes, it meets the first requirement is to basically establish a baseline of where you're at, identify any shortfalls that you may have, and lay the foundation for the program. This money will then enable us to determine what we need to do going forward. We've been working with 3 vendors, working to try to get a 4th vendor to provide us information and looking at various aspects to meet the overall requirements as identified in the state code. And so this is the first aspect of that, of laying that baseline, identifying any areas that we have to do. We have a very high number of endpoints in the system, and we have a very complicated architecture of our system because of the number of users and number of computers and other attachments. So it makes this to be a very challenging environment to meet all of these requirements. I know the words look innocuous on the paper, but it's going to be a fun year for all the political subdivisions across the state of Ohio to meet these standards moving forward. So the first step is saying that we will officially establish a program, which we, have in place. The training, we're already exceeding those standards. Several other aspects, as I said, we're already meeting or exceeding. There's just some areas that we do need to document and need some augmentation on. So what questions do you have for me?
And thank you for that update. I appreciate it, and for all the information you provided to council today. Regarding the professional services, you'd mentioned 3 to 4 vendors. Based on the mandate, is there a requirement that, like certain requirements that the vendors have to meet? Or is there any kind of mandate as it relates to selecting a vendor in this case?
No, the first, and I can send you a link to the first video that we went through. There was a recurring theme that the presenter from the state of Ohio said, and that was, if you have a consultant or outside provider, I recommend you keep that. He also said, I'm a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer, so I'm not providing you professional advice. But they know that they burdened the political subdivisions with a very high bar. And the larger and more complex system you are, the more difficult it's going to be. And, think of our law enforcement, our EMS, and everything else that we operate.
Thank you. Any other questions for? Yes, go ahead.
No.
Oh,
I was,
yeah,
that's,
sorry.
I was going to ask, do you need this passed for first reading adoption, or?
It would be greatly appreciated if you could do that. The sooner we could do that, then we could move forward with selection of a vendor for this, and then get meet our timeline to have that foundation in place by the first.
Is there any questions?
The bill, HB 96 went into effect September 30th, but we have until the end of next year to get fully compliant. Is that, because it goes into effect, but you're not going to have it up and running overnight, right? So how does that work?
It's January 1st of 26. We have to be compliant, so it went into effect September 20th, but they gave us until the end of the year to become compliant.
And the effective date is that there are 2 main requirements that are in place as we speak. Within 7 days of a cyber attack, as soon as possible, no later than 7 days. And as soon as possible is not the exact legal language, but that's the intent. We have to notify the state of Ohio. It's the exact is in the information sheet. And then within 30 days, the auditor of state has to be notified. And then the other request, the other mandate here is that legislative authorities, if there is a ransomware attack, the political subdivisions are not allowed to pay a ransom, if you will, to pay out to someone who's attacked your system unless there is a public meeting and a public vote to pay that. So if, there have been political subdivisions in the state of Ohio over the last 12 months who have been attacked and may have paid out, and it appears that part of the intent of this law is to ensure that that is all done in open, in an open legislative session.
Do we have cybersecurity insurance?
Yes, we do.
What's the coverage on that? Didn't you know offhand?
Yes, it's $1 million.
So it passed September 30th, 25, and we have until 1/1 of 26 to be compliant with that. You'll get asked when you do your audit report, correct?
Correct.
On it?
The auditors will come in. They've already, I mean, we already had a very
They
extensive.
already asked us.
Yeah, so we
Audit.
had a very extensive IT audit last time. There's been, I think, we're working towards making sure our system is doing what it's supposed to do. There's been a big push, especially I see from the finance side, of if we do not have policies and procedures in place, they want to hold those employees personally liable when bad things happen. So as a government, we want to make sure we have the policies and procedures in place so our employees do not become prosecuted for what is becoming a lot of, human error can occur. That's happening too on the finance side. The auditor's office has come out and said, if you don't have policies and procedures in place and you accidentally take somebody's banking information and pay the wrong vendor because you got duped, like, we're gonna hold, if you didn't have procedures in place to prevent that, we're going to hold you personally liable, and we may prosecute you, and they're doing that. So it's really important that we assess our environment to make sure we're doing what we need to do. Our IT department does a really good job of making sure, trust me, they make all of our jobs hard, but harder to do some days, but and again, it's something we've been pushed down to us from the state level. So it's really important that we, get all of this in place so that we can protect our citizens, their information, all of the things that we do here, but also have the right stuff in place so that our employees have the tools they need to do their job and protect themselves when they're working as an employee of the city of Tallmadge.
Hence why all the IT security training that we do.
Correct.
Yes.
We far exceed the requirement of the training, and we far exceed in many areas, but it's the documentation. And just to be crystal clear, this request is only the beginning of the process. We will need a virtual chief information security officer to establish a lot of those other policies, which will be written after the first of the year. The state is going to be lenient as we establish these policies. Those policies already required and in effect, as Ms. Gilbride was talking about, those are required. Any existing policies have to be achieved and maintained. And we have passed our CGIS, the law enforcement audits, the state auditor's office audits. There are added requirements that are being referred, but these new requirements are going to require additional, and that's why I said there will be surprises as we discuss the budget when it comes to this. And that's why, to explain that, we'll discuss that more going forward. And I don't have numbers yet. We're trying to work on that because this is new and the scope and they're squishy. If you read the law, it says you will meet the National Institute of Standards. But if you read the whole sentence, it says it gives you a couple standards to meet, but it says including these. So, so it's very difficult to write, to work with these vendors. And as we've been working with them, it's been question after question.
Unfortunately, it's an issue that isn't going to go away. I mean, it's only going to get worse. I dealt with it almost on a weekly basis when I was at the bank, so. Is there any more questions from council? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-77.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Donald Pavlik.
Yes.
Tracy Pletcher.
Yes.
Ted Roy.
Yes.
Nick Rubino.
Yes.
Jonathan Bolus.
Yes.
Christine Sipa.
Yes.
Jessica Epstein.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2025-77 passes with a motion of 7-0.
Thank you.
Welcome. Next up, into ordinance 2025-78, reducing appropriations in the Road Capital Improvement Fund, number 329, and providing for immediate enactment. The sponsor of this ordinance is Director of Finance, Ms. Gilbride. Ms. Gilbride, anything to add?
Just as you all know, we were not able to move forward with that due to the county force main needing to be replaced prior to the Howe Road construction taking place. So I went ahead and reduced those appropriations for this year. As you saw in my report in the transfers, however, I did go ahead and move. We do know we need to do that project. Our plan is to do it next year. So I did go ahead and set those funds aside into the Road Capital Improvement Fund, so they are available for hopefully construction on that next year.
Much like we did last meeting for the water, right?
Yes, yes.
Is there any questions on ordinance 2025-78? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-78.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Tracy Pletcher.
Yes.
Ted Roy.
Yes.
Nick Rubino.
Yes.
Jonathan Bolus.
Yes.
Christine Sipa.
Yes.
Jessica Epstein.
Yes.
Donald Pavlik.
Yes. Okay, with that vote, ordinance 2025-78 passes with a motion of 7-0. Next up is ordinance 2025-79, closing the fire station construction fund number 303, returning outstanding advances, transferring remaining balances to the debt service fund number 420, and providing for immediate enactment. The sponsor of this ordinance is Director of Finance, Ms. Gilbride. Ms. Gilbride, anything to add to this?
Just, we can finally, all the outstanding things that we are kind of keeping this money in this fund for have been taken care of. So as part of, since a lot of you probably were not here when we were funding all this, just a brief, for the contingency on the construction account, we advanced the funds to the construction fund to set that money aside. We did not actually end up having to use any of those funds, so we're able to return the entire advance back through. We did run the advance. We let the safety service income tax fund, because it was new, it borrowed the money from the general fund, and then so that way, if there were overruns, we were using the safety money to pay it back, and the income tax fund could pay the general fund completely back. And then there was just a small other advance that had been lingering out there. And then there was a small amount of money left due to interest earnings, so those are required to be put into the debt service fund to be used to pay off the debt service on the fire station, so.
Question, don't you have to state that in the actual ordinance that you're moving not only just the construction fund 303, moving it to the debt service fund, but the 24,000 from general fund to the fire, okay.
Those are
But there was another one.
advances.
Okay, those are advances, okay.
Yep, those are return of money that was advanced.
Okay.
So the only money kind of left that came from the actual debt issue construction is the $9,000.
Got it, okay, all right. Okay, is there any questions, council, on 2025-79?
I just had one question. I know we've had various challenges, with the construction and even most recently, like some roofing repairs. Like, is there any risk in closing this account and having to possibly
Construction's done.
The construction at this point is
That's
done.
ma-
We're not dealing, so that just becomes general maintenance.
so it's
We're-
not, that's
We
not
still
a
have the
part.
money, we just have to move it back to where it belongs, but.
Okay, so
at
that's
the-
not covering any repairs at this point.
No,
Okay.
no. Any repairs or maintenance of the facility need to come out of the operating.
Less buckets you gotta manage.
Yes.
Okay, are there any other questions, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion?
I'd move to adopt ordinance 2025-79.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Ted Roy,
Yes.
Nick Rubino,
Yes.
Jonathan Bolus,
Yes.
Christine Sipa,
Yes.
Jessica Epstein,
Yes.
Donald Pavlik,
Yes.
Tracy Pletcher,
Yes.
Okay, with that, ordinance 2025-79 passes with a motion of 7-0. That is all this evening on ordinances. Is there anything else that needs to be brought before Finance Committee? Hearing none, I will close committee. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Next up is our Personnel Committee. We'll open committee. I'll pass the mic to Councilwoman Sipa.
I open Personnel. Personnel Committee deals with personnel, labor relations, insurance claims, rules of council, and state statutes. We have no ordinances on the agenda for tonight. Does anyone have anything for personnel? Hearing none, I close Personnel.
Thank you. We'll move along to our Safety Committee with Councilman Rubino.
Thank you. I call Safety Committee to order. Safety Committee deals with disaster services, communications, fire, and paramedics, police, and health. We currently have nothing on the agenda for the Safety Committee tonight. Does anybody have anything for the Safety Committee? Hearing none, I close committee.
All right, thanks very much. Moving on to our Community Issues Committee with Councilman Roy.
Yes, I'd like to open up community issues. The Community Issues Committee deals with Parks and Recreation, Civic Affairs, and liaison between council and the Recreation Board and Intergovernmental Affairs. Tonight, we have first reading on ordinance 2025-80, Exhibit A, tracking Exhibit A, amending and supplementing ordinance 2024-67 to amend rates, charges, and fees for all recreational facilities and providing for immediate enactment. Sponsor tonight is Mayor Kilway.
All right, thank you. So every year, our superintendent of Parks and Recreation, she goes through the grid, as you know, and reviews it and adjusts things accordingly. And that's basically what she has done here as well. I believe you were all given a red line copy of any changes. If you go to the MAC Aquatic Center membership rates, there's a slight change in the non-residents. She says that was due to a formula error that she had made the year before. She uses a certain formula in order to calculate what the rate increases are for residents and non-residents. And I think last year we had made a increase in the resident rate, and she miscalculated the non-resident rate. So you could see there's a slight adjustment in that. And then down under the Parks and Recreation Department advertising opportunities, she's trying to offer more advertising opportunities at the rec center. They had a pole banner advertising sign that was inside the rec center that they had problems, getting people to purchase. So she is changing it to the poles on the outside of the rec center in the parking lot with a different funding. And you can see where those prices are as well, along with adding advertising around the scoreboard of the soccer field, and then outdoor court and field tarp advertising. So these are just different advertising opportunities that she'd like to add into the grid. And then if you also go down to under special rental rates for Tallmadge Rec Center facilities, she has added a line item for Summit DD Special Olympics softball and baseball permitted free use for practicing games at Challenger Field. So historically in the past, when there was Special Olympics in the area, Summit DD would allow them to use the Challenger field for free for their practices. We just needed a line item, a mechanism in order to be able to allow that again going forward. And then the other change in here is the Howe Road Dog Park Pavilion in the small dog side park. She is looking to add a mechanism to rent the small dog park and the pavilion for people that want to have parties for their dogs. So it's a mechanism for her to be able to do that. She says that there's like a need for it, so that's there as well. Like I said, this, we do not need first reading adoption on this. Please review it. If you have some questions, reach out to myself. We could have Jessica here at the next meeting if you would like her to explain any of these as well, unless, Mike, do you want to address anything?
I think you did a great job in explaining it. The main thing about the MACA is the increases for non-residents didn't go up with the residents. That was the change. It was a flat $10 increase for non-residents, and that wasn't the same for residents, so we just equaled that out. That's that change. And then I think what the mayor said about the Special Olympics, that was their home field for many years, and Summit DD did donate towards those lights as well, so we need to keep that in mind, so.
Just one question on the pole, I put my glasses on. Pole banner, rec center, parking
Right.
lot, where it says 300 per season, it says 4 seasons.
Right, so she's envisioning, in the spring, have a spring banner up with spring flowers or something like that, and people can rent those banners for advertising. A business could put their name on it for, 3 months out of the year.
Yeah, if it's calendar year, then, if it's not calendar year, then define it, right? Because then you go below where it says off-season, in-season, it's got to define of June 1st to September 30th for off-season and October 1st, May 3rd, just so everyone knows that whatever they're buying for the season, that you know the date that you're buying it for. I mean, I would imagine that someone might want to leave it up there for the whole entire year and pay the $1,200, but
Right.
maybe someone only wants to do 1 season or 2 seasons.
Right.
That's just the only comment I had.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll get that added too.
all right. We have any other discussions on that? If not, we'll leave it at first reading. That's it for tonight. If anybody has any additional items, if not, I will close committee. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Next up is our Public Service Committee with Councilwoman Epstein.
Thank you. I call Public Service Committee to order. The Public Service Committee deals with streets, highways, sidewalks, buildings, and improvements, water, sewer, electricity, gas, energy resources, recycling, waste, and trash. We have no ordinances or resolutions before us this evening. Are there any additional items from council or administration? Hearing none, I close committee.
All right, thanks very much. Moving on to item 11, reports of special committees, Council Operations Committee. I have no report this evening, no additional items to cover. Item 12, announcements. Do we have any additional announcements that weren't in administrative reports? Any announcements by council?
Ms. Osborne, congratulations, you made your first council meeting as a clerk by yourself.
It's not over yet, but.
It's true.
Really good announcement. All right. Last up is our adjournment. Clerk, please call the roll, or I need a motion, sorry.
I'll make
Sorry.
a motion to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion and a second for adjournment. Clerk, please call the roll.
Nick Rubino,
Yes.
Jonathan Bolus,
Yes.
Christine Sipa,
Yes.
Jessica Epstein,
Yes.
Donald Pavlik,
Yes.
Tracy Fletcher,
Yes.
Ted Roy.
Yes.
All right, it is 8:04 PM and we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.